And a final segment left with you. And happy weekend. My name is Justin Clark. Thanks for joining us on this beautiful Saturday morning, talking about IRS problems. And if you do have any questions, the phone number 321-282-1055. The website is www.youhavepower.com. You can watch the show live on Facebook at ATTY Justin Clark. Feel free to ask us any question that you have. No dumb questions. There's no consultation fee ever. We'll meet with you on evenings or Saturdays if that helps. And as always, flat fees. All right? We're not going to send you bills. You're going to know exactly what the case costs from beginning to end. And I don't know many firms that can say the same thing. And we're joined again by tax accountant and enrolled agent Stephen Richardson. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Welcome.
Thanks for being here. So we're talking about ways to deal with your IRS issues. And I think we're very fortunate at our firm to have such a fantastic bankruptcy department and IRS department because there are so many times that they work in conjunction with one another. And I want to get your and Wayne's take on this. So let's say someone comes into the office and they have a tax lien. Number one, Steve, can you explain what a tax lien really is? I don't think people have a good grasp of that.
A tax lien is, in other words, that they'll put a tax lien on your property, bank account, anything to stop you from being able to sell. Let's say if you have property, you got a tax lien on the property, you're not able to sell that property because it's lien. You have a lien on it, just like you would if you're buying a car. If you don't buy it outright, the person, you don't get the title right away. They'll put a lien on that. You have a lien, and then once you pay it off, then you get it. That's the same way with a tax debt. In other words, the tax, if you owe taxes, they can put a lien on your property or anything, and then you're not able to move that property, or you're not able to even close that bank account if they got a tax lien on it. It's different from a levy, but it's a lien at the time.
And there are times where we have to decide, and Wayne, you might have to help us with this. So let's say someone's going to file bankruptcy, but they have a lien out there against them, or a lien against their house. I mean, how do we determine if we need to deal with the IRS problem, the lien problem, prior to filing bankruptcy, or deal with it through the bankruptcy?
Well, in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, the repayment plan type of bankruptcy, you can actually discharge certain types of IRS debt. If you file your tax returns on time and your tax debt is over 3 years old, that kind of debt is generally dischargeable. So if you file bankruptcy right now, any tax debt you owed from your 2014 return and earlier would normally be dischargeable, assuming you didn't commit fraud and you filed your taxes on time a couple years ago. However, once they put a lien on the house, even if you try to discharge the debt, the lien is still there. It still encumbers your house. They can still take the house even though you're trying to discharge the debt. So Steve and I work together to figure out if it's best to do an offer in compromise, make a deal with the IRS, get them to lift the lien on that old debt. If the lien is lifted on that old debt, then we can go in and file bankruptcy with no lien in place, and we can try to get that debt discharged.
Correct. And then also, if you have a substitute filing, or what they call an FSR, where the IRS filed in your place, if you don't file and they're automatically filed, they won't release it. Then at the time, you would have to go back and do it.
Right.
So I think people are confused that you can actually wipe out IRS debt sometimes through bankruptcy. And I think that what makes me nervous, if you owe a bunch of money to the IRS and you see a commercial on television for some tax slayer out of California or something like that, do they really know what your options are? Do they really know that you can wipe out some of that tax debt through bankruptcy? Or are they just going to try to take your $5,000 or $7,500 to deal with your tax problem without even reviewing all possible options? I mean, what you guys are telling me today is, generally speaking, rule of thumb, I owe $70,000 to the IRS from 2012. Generally speaking, that debt can be discharged by filing bankruptcy. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's what you're hearing.
And how do we know how do we know? I mean, is it pretty much just if it's more than 3 years old and there's no fraud, it can be wiped out in a 7 or a 13?
Yes.
Okay.
You'd have to check, we would want to check for sure to make sure what the tax transcripts say before we say absolutely 100% that we can discharge it. But in general, yes, that's correct.
Because it depends on the filing date, like you were saying. The transcript will let you know if it was filed, even though it's 2012, But if you filed it in 2014, it won't be dischargeable.
And what if I just don't know what the hell I owe? I just know I'm getting letters all the time. They have the green sticky that says certified mail on top, and I know I'm scared. But I don't know what year it's from. I don't really know anything. If I come and hire you, Steve, do you have the ability to go in and see the transcripts and see everything the IRS can see about me, and you tell me what's really going on?
Yes, that's the first thing we would do when you come into the office. We'd do a compliance check. Then that allowed me to know exactly how we can help you, or the best scenario to help you, me or Wayne, whatever we're dealing with. We'll do a compliance check, the first thing we do.
Describe that process for me.
Compliance check, I call the IRS, and first of all, you sign a power of attorney, allow me to be able to work on your behalf in calling and talking with the IRS and resolving any tax issue or to get you in compliance. That's our main goal is to make sure you're in compliance. So that's why we have to do a compliance check at first. And the compliance check, they let us know if it's substitute filing, back filings, how much you owe, when you owe, how much the penalties, how much the interest was. Then we know how to do the abatement. Then we know how to do offer and compromise, and we'll know exactly what we need to do to help you specific need, because everybody have different needs.
People are really scared of the IRS, and rightly so, because like I told you, they don't have to sue you. They can just come and take your money, or they can come and garnish your wages. So you should be scared. But it's a weird relationship too, because in a way we're kind of on the same team. I liken it to LeBron James. He's on the Cleveland Cavs, right? But he has to hire an agent to do the hardcore negotiating when it comes to dealing with his contract with the Cavs. They're on the same team, but during that time, they're really not. You know what I mean, Mick? Does that make sense to you?
Sort of.
And we feel like we're all one government here. We all live in the United States of America, right? I mean, we want to pay our taxes. We really do.
Want to do the right thing.
And do the right thing. We want to be in good standing with the IRS. No one wants the IRS mad at them. No one does.
Especially the IRS.
And we, in a way, act as your agent with the IRS. Let us do the negotiating. Let us deal with them on your behalf to try to give you some peace of mind. And I think one misnomer really is that it's always a war, or that these IRS agents are these losers from high school who had no friends. They got into the business just because they wanted to ruin our lives.
Yeah.
And I think Steve would tell you our relationship with most of the IRS agents we work with isn't like that at all. Steve, describe the relationship that you have and our firm has with most of these IRS people we deal with.
Well, we have a great relationship. I have a great relationship with our OA agents, OIC agents. There's different agents that I deal with on a daily basis, and they know me personally.